12 noon on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West.
And this is Reprint.
This isn't breaking headlines. This is a second look with context added for perspective.
This is Reprint, edited after the headlines.
All right, it is 9 a.m. on the West Coast, and it's actually, I believe, around 12:02 on the East Coast. I am Crystal Jordan Jennings, and I just lost Victor Flavius, but it looks like we've got Victor back.
What's up?
All right. Yes, good morning to the Reprint with Victor Flavius, publisher of Lennox and Parker, and of course, I am Crystal Jordan Jennings, editor-in-chief, and we are live today. Hey, Tammy. Hey, Edna. Welcome. You guys come on in. A little bit of a late start. We're trying to make sure that we can go live on both Instagram and on YouTube. And so that, I think, is, are we able to do that? I think we're live on, I believe we're live on both. Are you able to see that, Victor?
Let me see. I'm checking right now.
I believe we're trying to make sure that we're able to do both, hopefully.
Let me see. Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, you're on live. Yeah. I'm trying to see.
Okay, great. See if you can share that. Good morning, and good afternoon. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Come on in. We're excited to see you this morning on the Reprint. How was your night, Victor?
It was good. So yesterday you had me watching Bridgerton.
You watched it?
I watched season 4 of the whole thing, and I'm just like, why would they stop at those 4 episodes? Where's the rest of it, right?
Yes. Why would they stop there?
It was really cool because it reminded me of the Cinderella story a lot. Which made it easier to follow along. I like that factor of it. The story was really good. The costumes were really good. Acting was really good. What else? Yeah, it was a good show. I liked it. So
I appreciate a man that can appreciate a romance.
Oh yeah, I like shows like because it's relatable. You know, romance is something that is built in each and every one of us. A man wants to find a good woman, vice versa. Then there's that's the love side, and there's the intimacy side where lust and attraction, and then there's all that stuff goes into it. And it shows that in the show. What I like about that show a lot too is that the interracial aspect of it, black, white, Asian, didn't matter of the person's color and position in society. I like that too. That was pretty good. It wasn't just all white folks that were like lords and queens and whatnot.
Right.
The queen is black, or person of color. A lot of the gentlemen that were dukes or whatever, they had people of color as well too. So I like that balance that the show had. The new girl is on it. She's Asian. I like that too. So it was pretty cool. Yeah.
So they have had, and I know we can talk a little bit about, because I did an article for Lennox and Parker on Bridgerton, because I love the fact that Shonda Rhimes creates this fantasy that is an equal opportunity. Like you said, different races, different body types. We've had the love interest be. It started off with a young white girl, then it was an Indian girl, and then it was a girl that was probably some people would consider plus size, and now we have an Asian. So I love that, and I also, like you said, to your point, there's earls, dukes, people of color, and it just which. You know what? It's funny because when I would read like those old romance novels around that time period, I enjoyed them, but it was kind of sobering to know that I, as a person of color, especially a Black woman, I would never have been the queen or never have been the lady maybe the lady in waiting, but probably not even that. And so this allows you to have that fantasy and to see just rewriting history in a good way. You know what I mean? So, it allows us to see that. But because we mentioned that, I want to just talk a little bit quickly about this Bridgerton story. My article is Violet Bridgerton and the Power of Perimenopausal Garden in Full Bloom. And, I wrote that because, first of all, this one of the stories, that's another thing, age, all these different variables that often we use to exclude people, right? Be it age, color, socioeconomic background, a lot of different things that we size, Sean has done, the team, I'm sure it's more than just her, has done a great job of breaking down those exclusionary boundaries that often keep people from seeing themselves as like the heroine or the star of the show. And in a side story to the story with Sophie, who is the Asian girl who was like in the Cinderella story. She's got the evil stepsisters and the evil stepmother. But Lady Violet Bridgerton is the mother of one of the most prominent families, the family that the story is obviously centered around, the Bridgertons. And so her husband passed away. Her first love passed away, and she is, a woman of a particular age, a seasoned woman. She has 8 children, and her, she, as most mothers, she's focused on making sure that they find love, that they, that they're taken care of. She worries about her children, and in that, she, kind of lost connection with herself. And they approached this idea of a woman, I would say a little later in life. She's probably like upwards of 55, and realizing that, she still has wants, she still has desires, she still has needs. And for a long time, we didn't think of our American, culture would not really acknowledge women past a certain age, still had value, still had, we're still desirable, we're still attractive, we're still seen as objects of desire. That just, that's not the case. The focus is always on the young, 20-something young woman. And so, Haitian Empress, welcome. So I love the fact that we see Violet Bridgerton. She had a conversation last season with a good friend of hers, who's Lady Danbury, who is a African-American woman, who is the queen's right hand. And she was telling her how, even though her husband is gone, she still has desires. She still wants to feel like a woman. And so they had this analogy of a garden. And she said, my garden is in bloom. I want to.
I saw that part.
Enjoy that. And so in this 4-part series that just came back, we see Lady Violet. She has went a little further and realized that she has these needs, and she meets Lady Danbury's brother, who we see her with in this picture, and she decides to take a lover, and it's a beautiful. I think it's a beautiful realization, because it shows her. There's this very moving scene where it shows her looking at herself after having 8 children, after having a husband and losing him, after going through life, probably having some issues and really focusing on everyone else. And she really comes back to herself at that moment. And that's why I wrote that piece. If anyone wants to read it, you can of course go visit lennoxandparker.com and see that piece. And it really just, it speaks to the fact that as a mother, sometimes we lose ourselves, and it's just a woman, get to a certain age and we don't think of ourselves as the focus of desire, the focus of love, and because we're giving it out to so many other people. And so what a beautiful reminder, for mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, that you still can connect with that piece of you, and you still have value, you still have worth. And so kudos to Shonda Rhimes and the whole Bridgerton team for that.
I want to add one thing to that. Watching the show, what stuck out to me a lot too was, what was his name again? The gentleman, the guy she was dating.
You know what? I cannot remember his name, but he's he's Lady Danbury's brother.
Anyhow, he showed such grace and patience. In our world, Black men has been portrayed as monsters, as aggressors, as everything other than gentlemen everything other than graceful, peaceful, and he just carried himself like a true gentleman. You know, he was patient with her. He took his time. He was kind. He didn't overspeak. He let her express herself. And I thought that was really good. I thought that portrayal of a black man in that time period, even, you know, for today's time, was a good portrayal. And she did a good job with that. Yeah.
I agree. That's a good point.
That's my 2 cents.
No, I love that. I love that because I think that's the women fell in love with him. I was talking to some of my girlfriends and it was like, oh my God, he's so amazing. And I think women fall in love with characters that are patient. We were like that with there's the show that was on Paramount. Oh my gosh, the Kevin Costner Yellowstone. So there was Yellowstone was this big drama that was on Paramount, and it starred Kevin Costner, but Kevin Costner in the series, his daughter fell in love with the his right hand on the ranch, Rip. This love story between Beth and Rip. And yes, he was attractive, but I think what made women really fall in love with this character, and they actually have a spinoff, was the fact that he was so patient with her. He was loving. It was that idea of a man that could be, you could count on him. You know, he was his word was his word. He did what he said he was going to do. And he really tried to understand her. And I think women, aside from the physicality, I think women really, audiences really appreciate, to your point, his patience, his ability to see her, his ability to appreciate her. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I also think that there's this movement that we see women speaking about different phases of life. Perimenopause and menopause have been buzzwords. And I think this example of a woman that is at a different stage of life, but still has those same feelings and can be recognized as that, you know. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you as a man say you can see beauty there, right? You can see beauty in all ages. And
of course, you have to, as a man, you have to, outside of societal things, women go through changes. No one stays the same. I don't care if a man met you at 22, you're not going to be the same at 30, you're not going to be the same at 40, at 50, at 60, at 70. And we all have to, we all naturally go through changes in our bodies. And I think it's unfair for women to be mothers and go through, you know, the whole process of being a mother, and a man look at a woman and be like, oh, you're not attractive anymore. Well, I had four of your kids. What did you have? Why did you have a bare belly? Why do you have a gut? And you want to look at me and say I have wrinkles. Well, of course, you know, but that's part of the process. That's a natural part of the process. And I think we as men have to be like, okay, this is natural for a woman her body to change. And why can't we love her at that stage of her life? We loved her when she was 20 and she was, you know, fine and all of that type of stuff. You know, she gets older, it's a different type of fine. You know what I'm saying? And as you get older, and you have to start, you know, we have to stop looking at one part only, just the physical part, and go into the mental and spiritual. And, you know, and if you're not growing as a man in that way, I think that's another problem too. So
it is, but I think that's why voices like yours are important, because I think we do have to learn to appreciate, because you are, you know, to the audience, Victor is a husband of how many years, Victor?
26 years, 25 years.
Yeah. So you understand. I think we need to hear more from men who have been in marriages for, you know, that period of time. I think a lot of times our culture is, we focus only on the chase and to see, you know, what a woman looks like when you're chasing her. But what is a woman? What is the beauty in a woman when you've been with her and you know her and you know, she's comfortable with you and you see her bear your children, and not like that beauty is different, you know. And I think more men, we need to hear from more men like that. So great way to start our Wednesday. I do want to take us to another point, because we were not planning on talking about, because we just learned of a breaking story this morning, and it's one that's near and dear to the Lennox and Parker family, and I'm sure to all of you out there. We want to just send prayers. I'm actually going to ask Victor to say a quick prayer, because we just learned that Slade, who is the son of rapper, producer, DJ, personality, Little John. He is also a DJ, an engineer, an artist in his own right. Slade is missing. And so I would like us to, like I said, say a prayer for him this morning. I'm not sure what's going on. We talked to him. I would say summer of last year. We went out to the
Yeah.
studio, and our music correspondent Leah Kiana interviewed him. I was there with her, and we interviewed him at Outcast Studios, Stankonia Studios here in Atlanta. He was so gracious, and I was so excited to see the second generation of, Atlanta's music legacy. Little John is a part of that. He's connected with all the guys from Outcast it's just a fan. BME, obviously that was Little John's. BME Stankonia. BME was right across the street from Stankonia, but you got all these amazing musicians that were here, and then you see their children. CeeLo's son, I know, is doing things. I'm really close to Chili's son, and he's got a rock and roll career. But this young man was very talented and did not want to just ride on the laurels of his father's success. He was really putting in a lot of hard work on his own. And so, and I also know, I feel like, because we all have children, and I cannot imagine a father, mother being, that feeling of not knowing where your son or daughter is. And so, like I said, I just want to take a moment for us to pray for him this morning, that he will be returned home safely and to his family. Victor?
Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for blessing us with another day. We ask, Lord, as we all are joined here together, that you would send your angels to be with Slade, wherever he is, and that the authorities and his family members and his parents would find him, and that you will protect him in this time, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, well, that's what's different about the reprint. We can stop and say a prayer. We don't just put the information out there. We can stop and say a prayer. So
yes.
We definitely want to make sure that we'll keep you all updated on Slade's whereabouts. But we're praying that he will be returned to his family. Okay. All right. Well, let's get into it. Our first order of business today is an interesting lawsuit that I just learned about yesterday. This New York jury has awarded $2 million to a 22-year-old woman who detransitioned after undergoing a double mastectomy as a minor, finding the psychologist and surgeon who approved the irreversible surgery liable for medical malpractice. This landmark verdict, the first of its kind in the United States, centers on whether proper standards of care were followed before a teenager received what's called top surgery. This is the plaintiff here. Fox Varian had a double mastectomy at age 16 as a part of a gender transition medical treatment and later detransition. At trial, a Westchester County jury found the psychologist and the surgeon both liable for failing to follow appropriate standards of care before recommending surgery. And Varian was awarded $1.6 for pain and suffering, $1.6 million, and $400,000 for future medical expenses. This is definitely going to be a very talked about case, because we are in a at a time where transgender reassignment procedures have become very popular, but I've never understood why they would allow someone under the age of 25, really, because we know scientifically the brain is not finished, developing until 25 years old. So to allow someone under even 18 to do things that to transition their body to in a state that it would not be able to be reversed when they are not an adult, is, to me, seems very irresponsible. But I've never understood why that's been something that is allowed. Also, in addition to the procedures, there are also a lot of times people under 18 years of age are taking hormones to transition and to reassign their gender through hormones. And I also feel like that is equally dangerous, because again, the body is not finished forming, and to this young woman's point, she felt she was transgender, had her breast removed, and then later realized that wasn't for her, and it was too late. But she had this surgery of removing her breasts completely at 16 years of age.
Yeah, so my take on this whole thing is kind of it's all over the place, because I hear what you're saying, and there are a few different sides to it. So one side is, you're 16, did this person have legal rights to be their own person legally, as far as like independence from their parents. The other side too, it is medical side of it, where a lot of times the medical community wants to be the first at something, so they'll rush and they'll rush through it, and they'll say, as long as these boxes are checked, then we can go ahead with the procedure, because we've checked all the boxes that would first liability would cover us from this whole thing. And then, so those are the two main things I look at when it comes to it. This country, a lot of times, the way how stuff is done, you have to be 18 years old to drive a car or get a license, or was it 21 to drink?
I would say 16 to drive.
To drive, right? Drive, okay. But 21 years old to drink. But
18
then when
18 to vote.
To vote, yeah. There are a whole bunch of to vote, yeah. There are a whole bunch of different type of laws that go different places. But when it comes to this first type of procedure thing, that's a very, very serious thing. If a person's not, if a person's brain is not, developed at 16, you shouldn't be allowed to do anything until you're 21, at least 21, 25. Make the change if that's what you want. Because at 16 you're going through so many different hormonal changes that and then you add to that right now, even to add to the subject of the whole social media disruption that they're doing with the laws are changing, because they're finding out that social media has been influencing and harming kids in the wrong way, because a lot of times we look at the body as just one thing, but it's an organism, right? You have mental, spiritual, and physical, right? And so a lot of times we look at the physical only, but then the mental part of it with the social media and all that type of stuff, that's, you add that to the physical, and then your hormones are changing at the same time, and then there's a lot going on at 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. So
it is. Now, I do know that I'm not sure on this, I'm not sure on this young lady if she was emancipated, but we do know that there are a lot of we were just saying the same thing, Tammy, a lot of children, depending on what's going on with their home situation, will go through emancipation, and I believe 16 is the age I've heard that has happened. I'm not sure if that was the case here, but I do see here that this verdict comes amid a wave of detransitioner malpractice lawsuits. There are about 28 similar suits pending nationwide, and more are coming. That's scary to me, because I had a young lady that I work with. There was a friend of mine that adopted 3 children. These children were in harm's way. They had dealt with SA and molestation at a very young age, under the age of 10. The little boy felt like he was his gender was incorrect. He felt like he was a little girl, but so she put him on hormones to change his gender at 8. Now, in my opinion, at 8 years old, first of all, at 8 years old, you don't really know what gender is, really understand that. And then also you're considering someone that has been through trauma, right? And that I'm sure adds to how a child's brain is developing if they've gone through trauma. So I thought that was irresponsible, but I also know that she was trying to do what she felt like was the right thing. What they're seeing is that a lot of times these people are saying, I feel like my gender is incorrect at a certain age, and then later they realize that that's not the case, and they want to detransition. But a lot of harm has been done. From what I hear, I remember interviewing several trans women, meaning men that had transitioned to being women and that had the surgery early on. And this was three African American men, and they talked about it was a painful transition because of I don't want to go into the specifics of what happens in that gender reassignment surgery, but I definitely don't. I think there has to be some guidelines put in place, especially for people under the age of 18. I think overall, even if you're doing that surgery, there should be some psychological evaluations, and there has to be boundaries put in place for any time that's done, because you could be 25 and going through something and then decide later, and then But I think that especially when it comes to people under the age of 18, we do allow people to sign up for the military, but we don't allow them to drink. So I've always thought that was backwards, that you're able to sign up,
I know,
go
right?
to the country and die potentially, but you're too young to drink. So I think that it is problematic, and is something that needs to be. I'm glad this case is so public, and with a $2 million judgment, it's going to definitely get a lot of attention. But I do think that we need to look into how we handle these surgeries in the future, because we're going to see a lot of this, because it's become very, very popular over the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, because of the laws allowing it.
It's hard being a doctor today too, because you can get sued either way. You can say, the doctor could be like, nope, I'm not doing it, and they can sue you, or I did it and they can sue you. So it's a very gray, crazy time to live in right now with what's going on. I've never seen this in my lifetime, and so now here we are. Here we are.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the focus is on medical malpractice, or if it's the laws that would allow minors to have that type of decision, because I've seen some situations where the parent is, like I said, the lady I know, she was actually, she was giving the child hormones at 8. And
wow.
In that situation, I'm not sure, but it could have been an emancipation, or the parents could have allowed it. But let me ask you this. Do you think that a parent has the right to make a decision about their child when it comes to gender reassignment? If a parent makes that decision and the child is, let's say, 16, and the child becomes an adult, at 18, and then decides, this was a mistake. My parents said this, I didn't. I didn't have the ability to. I mean, it's like a slippery slope where medical. Who's accountable? Is it the doctor? Is it the psychologist? Is it the legal guardian, or is it the actual patient?
I don't know. That's a tough one, because you have some parents are not fit to be parents. I'll be honest.
Right.
Some parents, you fall into being a parent however you get to be a parent. Some parents aren't fit to be parents. So, it should be some type of psychological evaluation done on that child, and the parent as well too. It should be a whole family's decision. Like, let's decide what's going on. I mean, if you have a child that's a male by birth, but he is feeling and looking and thinking like he is not a male, the time has to go on and go by before I would say, if that's what you want. But a parent should make their child feel safe enough to be who they are, where they are. Yeah. If your home is not a safe place for you to say, okay, this is how I feel, that's where the problem starts. Because your mom or dad is not making you feel that you could be who you are in the current skin you're in. You shouldn't change just because of how I look. Now, when you go to school and you go to places and they tease you and whatever, that's different. But in the home, it's a protection that has to be there. As a father, as a mother, we are supposed to tell our children, you're good just the way God made you. And if you feel different, let's look into reasons why and see. Right. And and for that part too, a parent shouldn't just take it off of that. Let's go simple. If my child has an allergy, I shouldn't go straight to drugs. There should be measures at home taken, find out what the problem is first, diagnose what the problem is, then you start removing things in the home that could cause irritation. And then from there, if it proceeds, then you go into alternative medicine, natural remedies. And then at the last course, if it's that severe, then medication should be involved. You don't go straight from my child wants to be a male or female and then hormone replacements at 8.
Right. Hormone or
right. You're
reassignment surgery.
Yeah, you're not even, your hormones haven't even developed to know what they are. So
especially if it's trauma affiliated with that, and trauma can come in very many different ways. Yeah. So Tamasha says school systems in California have been providing forms to bypass parental consent against parents' will. That's shocking. You're in California, Victor. That is shocking to me. I also saw that parents in the school systems, they're asking children. I saw a form that they're asking children what their gender is, and then if they're sure. And it's a lot of information being given to children to make these decisions themselves, attempting to bypass parents. I think that is extremely dangerous. And if I was a parent, I have children, but they're adults. But if I had children under the age of 18, honestly, I probably would just take my children out of the school system, because I can't imagine teachers or school administration giving my child forms and to bypass my consent as their legal guardian. That is very dangerous to me.
Yeah, I think in that space, again, I think the protection at home, there's something wrong at home. If your child goes to school and is looking for protection outside of the home, then there's something wrong that's going on in the house.
The teachers are doing things to bypass your involvement. So there's nothing wrong at home, but the child sees what's going on in the school, in the classroom, talks to a teacher, and the teacher bypasses your ability to.
Well, when I say wrong at home, I don't necessarily mean like there's a problem, no one's getting beat up. I'm saying your child should be able to confide in you on everything. From birth coming up. If you haven't built a relationship with your child to talk to you when there's something going on mentally, mom, I'm feeling this, dad, I'm feeling that, here's what's going on, and the child's looking outside of that, that's what I'm saying. When I say wrong, that's what I mean. Like something is not connecting at home.
Situation, there's nothing happening at home. That the child is just at school and the teacher's giving them a form. Saying, what is your gender? Are you sure that's your gender?
Yeah.
There are other things that you could potentially, it's just the lines of parental consent are being crossed. In this situation, I'm not sure. In the variant situation, I'm not sure. But she was 16 at the time that she had the surgery. Another point, the last point I want to make on this is also at 16, your body is not finished developing, right? So you're removing breasts before you really know what the breasts are going to look like when they're developed. So that's a problem. It's not even, your body is not finished developing. Depending on the woman or the young woman, different stages of puberty at 16, So most women, at 30, their body looks very different than it did at 16. So that's also an issue. I wonder about just the development. What does that do to your body's developmental process when it's, tampered with before it's fully developed? That's just very strange to me.
Yeah, I don't have enough information psychological wise to determine this stuff, because why would you want to change your features? Because I don't know.
Right, yeah. But that's a sticky. It has become a political and religious. There's a lot of religious issues connected, and then political issues connected. But we'll definitely keep you guys posted if we hear anything else about this. There are, like I said, 28 additional cases in the United States currently pending, and more probably are being are on the way. Another story that is in the news is very alarming. Is yesterday, Melinda Gates did an interview, and she is reacting to new details about her ex-husband, Bill Gates, in the Epstein files. Did you see that? Did you see the interview? I'm so sorry. Did you see the interview, Victor?
I saw clips.
What were your thoughts on?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on? I'm sure you saw the clip that was viral with her acknowledging that, well, her listening to the report that allegedly her ex-husband had given her an STD from some extramarital activity that he was involved in, allegedly with Russian young women in this Epstein situation, and that he attempted to try to give her medication to fix the problem unbeknownst to her. So give your wife an STD and you don't want to get caught. And so he attempted to give her, I guess, sneak her some medicine in her food or something. And she found this all out later. What were your thoughts on all of that?
Well, so let me say this. Whoever's her PR person, they did an excellent job because she stuck to the script on what she was saying, and which was, listen, whatever happened with my ex-husband is his business. Talk to him about it, not me. And my focus is on the victims who were there. And even when I saw whatever was going on, it was appalling to me. So her statement stuck, and she's standing on that and saying, hey, I wasn't there. And if I was around whatever, I didn't want to be around that. And she did not address the STD part of it, which I'm sure was one of the reasons why she got a divorce. And she probably saw the whole thing coming down the line. Like, hey, this is going to happen in a year from now. So let me get away from this whole thing. But her PR team did a really good job saying, hey, stick to the script. Don't put the focus on you. Put it on everybody else around you.
I'm so sorry,
So,
guys. I'm
that's
sorry.
my take. I mean,
Yeah.
Whether or not she knew about what was going on, I think she knew.
Yeah. I think so. This was interesting. I was surprised to see her because she does not do a lot of interviews. I know she's very much kind of private person, but I do want to say, to Haitian Empress' point, not all money is good money. Bill and Melinda Gates are probably one of the principal financiers of Planned Parenthood. It's just interesting that Bill Gates, we're learning that he was involved with this Epstein. I'm sure there are a lot of people. And like I said Monday, I'm tired of more information constantly being dropped about these files that a lot of very rich and affluential people were involved in. But to hear that someone that's been so involved in public policy, Bill Gates was actually also the principal financiers and promoters of the vaccine, COVID vaccine. You remember that? All of a sudden we're hearing from him. So hearing that he was involved with allegedly children, young women, with Jeffrey Epstein was alarming because he's been given the right to be involved in so many public policy issues, from, like I said, vaccines to Planned Parenthood clinics and promoting both abortion and condoms, and they promote STD prevention, right? It makes sense now, that he would be using that and needing those things himself and involved in things that were felonious, not just wrong, but felonious as far as underage children. I do appreciate her stance as a ex-wife, saying that she has empathy and her concern is with the young women that were involved in the situation, and saying that those are the victims. I think that was, like you said, to your point, the great PR on her point, but I also think that she does a lot of she's done a lot of giving with her half of the divorce proceedings. She's done a lot of giving to causes, HBCUs, and schools and education in general. But I do think that we need to I don't know, this just makes makes my conspiracy theory antenna stand up. They did a good job. They did a good job with the fact that, first of all, she came out
unbeknownst to us that she's doing an interview, she picked NPR, which is a safe space to be in because NPR is, right down the middle. It's left wing leaning, but it's right down the middle, pretty much. Safe radio, public radio. So for her to pick that and then speak with a female interviewer, and for her to be asked the hard questions and then to stay on brand. If she went to a different platform, there would have been pushback on the question, and it would have been more like, stick to, why, tell us why. And so by her going to this platform, there wasn't any type of like hard pushback on the questions. It was asked. It was kind of like, dancing around a little bit, ask a question, and then pretty much she answered. And then the lady was kind of like safely saying, okay, I'm not going to make you cry or ruffle your feathers, but I'm just going to ask you this one question nicely and softly. And this is what we're going to do. What do you think about this? Did this happen? And so she answered the question. Okay, we're going to move away from that question now. And, it's kind of like that type of like holding her hand type of interview. So it was pretty safe.
It was very safe. But I also want to say, just as a publicist, when the reporter is asking a question and the way she's phrasing it, and by her not interrupting or saying that that's incorrect, just by her being silent when something is read, it still sends a message, right? Because if you say something that is incorrect, that she's not going to just sit there. The response would be, that's not, I don't agree with that, or that's not the case. But by her silence is a message of is confirming what is being read without giving her personal emotional response. So it is still it's very clever, because you're able to say things. The victim the person being interviewed is able to confirm things without being vocal, because she's not refuting it, when the interviewer is reading the question. So it speaks volumes to her being in agreement with the interviewer. That was interesting. I do think all of this is being brought out and put in front of the public for a reason. It's definitely, I think, the intent is to distract us, but it is also so much more. Like every time there's a little hint released, there's so much more involved. So
there is. Yeah.
My first thing was, wait a minute, Bill Gates is involved over here, but because we were very confused about why he was involved with the COVID vaccine. I didn't even know that they were the principal financiers for Planned Parenthood, and all the political, going back and forth over the Planned Parenthood. And the reason I say Planned Parenthood is not because of the work that Planned Parenthood was doing, because I actually went to Planned Parenthood when I was in college. You get prophylactics if your life becomes sexually active. But the problem I have with it is that they were strategically placed in urban neighborhoods to target people of color. So the history in that is disturbing to me, because it is targeting our communities. So if you want other opportunities and other resources for other communities, but for African-American communities specifically, you want abortion to be the primary option. That to me is problematic in a very different way. It's not really about the pro-life or pro-choice. It's more about the fact that there's racial bias in the way things are being handled. So
if people want to know more about Bill Gates, go look him up. His parents, his family members, Melinda too, were instrumental in Planned Parenthood and other things around the world. So, they don't just show up on the scene, oh, here's a computer guy and all this money. No, their parents had their hand in government and stuff way before they even were on the scene. So go look at Bill Gates and his father, and then look what his father did, and Melinda Gates. So
you understand what I'm saying. But yeah, definitely. And another interview that went viral yesterday, it was a big Tuesday, it was when, she was known
Kelly.
as in the video, the infamous sex tape video with R. Kelly. For more than 2 decades, Rashonda Landfair was known as Jane Doe. She is now reclaiming her name and telling her story publicly for the first time. In a new Rolling Stone interview and memoir, she reframes the case, long treated a scandal, into a story about grooming, exploitation, and the lifelong cost of silence. Wow, this was shocking because I know that just recently R. Kelly's legal team attempted to have his verdict overturned and it was denied. Seeing this young lady come forward, that was she was the young girl that was, I believe, 14 at the time, in maybe between 12 and 14, in the videotapes that went viral over 20 years ago of R. Kelly committing, I think urinating and all kinds of
despicable things.
Just things. SA, right? So to this girl that was underage, and I remember hearing that she was a relative of the singer Sparkle, and that's all. We just knew that she was young. She looked like a young woman. A lot of people. What was sad to me about that is a lot of people, because of the young woman, she was going through puberty. So many people, especially at that time, like we talked about Monday with Monica Lewinsky, the public outrage was, oh, the girl knew what she was doing. She understood. And I'm so happy that she is having the opportunity to speak now as a still very young woman, about the fact that she was underage and she was groomed at that time. And then also what that damage did to her life. Because I think people focus on the fact that it was R. Kelly, but this was a whole person. And she kind of got looked at as like the evidence, as opposed to actually saying her name and actually understanding that this was a person who was also, life was affected by that, not just this superstar R. Kelly,
Yeah, this is more about her speaking up for herself, not just to clear her name, but also for her. I think this benefits her more because it lets her breathe and finally let her move on with her life. That it's out in the public that this was me, it was speaking about, and that I didn't condone any of this stuff and it was wrong. So yeah, I think this was for her, it was really good. Kelly, he's already in jail, so I don't think it adds to any of that, but it gives context to the story more. And it's really a shame that a grown man took advantage of a young woman that way. It really is.
He took advantage of many young women that way.
Many young women, yeah.
And I think
at the cost, at that cost, you ruin a person's life, especially a child. I mean, it's unthinkable, but yeah.
And I just to add context to that, we do know that R. Kelly was allegedly a victim as a child as well, and in his victimization, he ended up doing that to others. But I do think it's important for people to humanize this woman, because she was, like I said, people saw the video was sold on. I mean, people, it was like a videotape that was sold, and it was for all practical purposes, child. I don't say the word, but you guys know what I'm getting at. And
I never saw the video. I never watched it because I never understood why people would run to watch sex tapes. I'm like, I get it, but it's like, don't you know if you have that stuff on your phone that you could be arrested for pornography, you could be locked up. I mean, you could, I just don't understand why people
back then
run
it wasn't
to.
really on our phones. I think it was like videotape. People
But now, like,
Yeah, people have VHS tapes of it, and I admit I never thought about, after all this came out, like, where is she at? What is she? How is she? Is she okay after going through that and then being seen by millions of people in a humiliating situation? And at that point, at the time that it came out, there really was no retribution. There was no consequence for him. The consequences didn't come for him until 2020. Actually 2021. So she had to live from 14 on, with this shame and disgrace and humiliation. And he went on to make hit songs and to be celebrated until recently.
Short story. A friend of mine and I went to a R. Kelly concert. It was R. Kelly. It was Jay Holiday and Neil opening for R. Kelly in Atlanta. And Jay Holiday did his thing, was cool. Neil came on, it was excellent. I was like, wow, Neil's cool. And then when R. Kelly came on, the whole arena's mood just went dark. To me, as a person of faith, I felt this crazy demonic feeling in the audience. And my friend looked at me and he was like, what's happening right now? And the whole stage was all like over sexualized, and we were like, what is going on? And people would it just changed the mood of the whole arena, just what he had on stage and what he was doing. And we at some point we pretty much left the concert. We was like, this is too weird. I've never been to a concert before, and I've been to many concerts where in the audience you can see people's demeanor changing. You can see the whole vibe is almost like this presence entered the whole area, and I was like, wow. Anyhow, I wanted to share that. It was just weird, but
that's a personal experience. Definitely adds context. I think that I wonder, a lot of people that, I think Tammy or Tamasha made a point that Tammy said many people didn't have empathy for the young woman because the young woman and her parents were paid for their silence. But, again, that's a parent making a decision, about a child. I think parents have a lot of liability when it comes to situations like this, but that also still doesn't mean that the young woman, just because you receive money for something when you're under the age of 18 does not mean that she didn't have to deal with that pain and humiliation. And I don't know what that amount was because I think those records were sealed, but it's just really sad to me that that happened. But I'm glad she has a voice and felt comfortable coming forward. And, I wonder what a lot of people's response is now to seeing her and having to hear, from her. All right, moving on to our last news announcement for today. The clip that I've been showing you guys, accidentally, Sherri Shepherd, we announced yesterday, Sherri Shepherd and Kelly Clarkson's daytime talk shows have been canceled and are not moving forward. Context of this, I talked about this yesterday on Fox 5. 8 major daytime talk news shows have been canceled in the last 5 years. We know that The Real, The Talk, Dish Nation, there's a couple of crime TV shows and different things that were morning shows that were canceled. And what they're saying is that these shows are basically suffering with views because of the new landscape with daytime television. And people are finding news other places, listening to podcasts. I think that's one of the reasons that we are excited about doing this, is because we realize that people are looking to other forms to digest content, specifically in the daytime space. And so I also remember, I went to Sherri's show. We were actually supposed to do Kelly Clarkson, but we ended up not able to do that. We went to Sherri. We did Tamron Hall and a few others with Chili and Matthew. And what I realized is that those shows were doing so much to keep up on YouTube and on TikTok with their audiences. Yeah. So they were all catering to those audiences. So making sure you go check us out on YouTube, make sure that you go and
so many platforms.
Yeah, so many platforms. People are everywhere. But Sherri's producers, Dunbar Mercury, made sure that they said that Sherri is very well liked and very well received. People love her. And the show is going to be put on another format. It's not going away. It's not a failure for her. She just is going to be, they're going to reposition the show and probably connect with a streaming platform, I'm pretty sure. But I think that's one of the reasons that we are really excited about really promoting and maturing the reprint, because we know that everyone is looking for news and for content and that fits the things that they are aligned with. And so I think that that's important. Sherri's ratings were not bad, but they do realize that there is a shift. And I mean, if most of you guys saw the clips before the actual show, people saw clips, the clips go viral, and more people are watching the clips than actually are watching the show. So, I think that's, and yes, someone said that Kelly actually wanted to leave her show. Kelly's been through a lot with her divorce and then her ex-husband tragedy and just a lot personally. And she said that she wanted to focus more on family. And so I don't know, hopefully we'll see her pop back up later. I think people really connected with Kelly Clarkson. She's a genuine soul. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, it just change platforms, come up, the format's changed. The world has changed. The way how we digest news and we look at media has all changed. Everyone's on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's changed the world. So we can't keep the same format where there's a fake audience, 10 people in the audience, and then there's a clapper going on. And that stuff is pointless at this point in day and age. People want real, they want truth, they want their communities. And so we're going to start seeing more and more communities like what we have growing on here, growing and becoming the thing. So that's where it's at. Yeah.
I agree. And thank you, Edna. She says that your title is very appropriate. Reprint for people that don't get news during prime time. So definitely we look forward to really maximizing this platform and connecting with you guys more. Of course, we all know it's Black History Month and we want to do Black business, Black History business shout outs. Black History business shout outs.
We're going to shout out to Shop Red Bag.
Yeah, Shop Red Bag is an online marketplace founded by veteran TV producer Candy Carter to uplift and sell products from underrepresented founders and small businesses impacted by recent rollbacks in corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The platform brings together diverse brands, including Black-owned, women-owned, LGBTQ-owned, veteran-owned, disability-owned, and everything, offering everything from apparel and accessories to stationery and everyday essentials, and aims to vote with your dollars by supporting businesses that often lose shelf space in big retail stores. So definitely check out Shop Red Bag. And we're going to be doing a lot more. I think we're actually going to be talking about some highlighting and focusing on some Black businesses during Black History Month. We have a great issue that's coming out later this month. But before that, we're going to be doing some things here on a weekly basis to highlight Black businesses. I know we're going to do one on Friday. So you guys be prepared to celebrate that. I am actually we are going to wrap the reprint a little early today because I've got to run. I've got press day here with Matthew and Shilly. They are wrapping up the press for their Hallmark series, Second Chance Love. It is on Hallmark Plus, and to ask for a link to Shop Red Bag. Do you have that link, Victor? I'm trying to see. Do I?
Yes. 1 second. I'll put it in the chat.
If we add that to the comments, and then we can also go back and add it to the description on today's show, so that people can have access to Shop Red Bag. Yes. But well, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in with us today. Like I said, I've got to rush out of here a little early, but we are very appreciative of everybody that hangs out with us at noon on the East Coast, and of course 9 a.m. on the West Coast. Thank you, Tamasha. She says I'm enjoying the reprint.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we're definitely, like I said, we're gonna be expanding this platform. Our intent is to go Monday through Friday and to really to build this out here on YouTube, on Lennox and Parker, and also on From Crystal XO. Victor, I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you for holding it down and being the strong woman you are. We love it. We love it. Thank you so much. And everyone else, go to the website, lennoxandparker.com, and subscribe, please. Tell your friends, tell your mama, tell your dad, tell everyone. Subscribe, please. We want to build this community so we can keep giving people, our community, our people, what they need on a daily, weekly basis. That's what we're here for.
All right. Well, we love you guys for watching, and we will be back on Friday. Another time, 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. We'll see you guys on Friday.
Peace out.